Call me Nostradamus, because I know a thing or two about the Buffalo Sabres. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And in my last episode, I made a prediction. Yes, I made a prediction for Game 1 of the Buffalo Sabres series against the Montreal Canadiens. I guessed what the score would be. I said it would be 4-2. I was correct. Why was I correct? Is it because I'm just flush with hockey information? Is it because I am a genius? No. However, I am a keen observer of the Buffalo Sabres. And I noticed a couple of things. First, as I noted in the last episode, the Sabres have an absolutely nasty forecheck. Second, the Sabres' depth is incredible at scoring goals, allowing Coach Lindy Ruff to run 4 lines deep fearlessly. 3, the Sabres have incredibly active defensemen on both the offensive and defensive sides of the ice, and that allows them a lot more flexibility on both sides. And 4, the Sabres have just an incredible amount of pure grit and toughness. All 4 of those factors came out to play in the Sabres' Game 1 win over the Montreal Canadiens. Now, if it sounds a bit like I'm stilted or bored in any way during the recording of this podcast, I apologize. It's because I'm recording this for a second time. Because much like has happened last week, I once again forgot to make sure the audio was working correctly before I started recording. I imagine that's a little bit of how Debesh felt for the Montreal Canadiens, the goaltender, who allowed 4 goals on 20, I don't even think it was 20 shots. I think it was like 16 shots. He allowed 4 goals on 16 shots. And really, the Sabres they probably could have had between 6 and 8 goals. They had a bunch of chances just ding off the posts. And to the credit of the Montreal Canadiens, they had a bunch of shots ding off the posts too. But, it didn't work out for them. Couldn't have happened to nicer people. Let's go through the items one by one here. The Sabres' nasty forecheck came out to play, and you could tell by the end of regulation, the Canadiens were just exhausted trying to keep up with it. It's really hard when you have a team that can actively defend the entire ice, and you have to try to work your way around that. At 5-on-5, that is exhausting. You have to have absolutely perfect passing. You cannot be off for a second. And if you're off for a second, I think they had something like 8 odd man rushes given up in the first period. That is absurd. It's absurd. And you can't give up that many odd man rushes and just kind of hope that your goaltender makes the saves for you. Because he won't always. He has no choice. He'll do his best, but he can't keep up with that kind of pressure. I don't think anybody can. I don't think it'd be fair to ask anybody to do that. But the biggest story from this game is probably the depth of the Sabres. The top line for the Sabres, surprisingly, didn't have a great game. They did fine. They're the top line for the Sabres, and they're the top line for the Sabres for a reason. But their best game is yet to come. They still have there's a lot there still. There's a lot they can still get. And there's a level they can get to that they haven't reached yet, and that is scary. But the Sabres' depth really shined in this game, particularly Zach Benson, who went from a rat to a skill player just like the flip of a switch. He had 2 assists in the game, And boy, did he just look good running down the ice. You lost Noah Ostlund in the first series, which was a shame because the rookie was looking fantastic. But Zach Benson in game 1 here looked a little bit like Noah. He did. He looked incredible. He looked like he was in control. His 2 assists were just absolute dimes. Like, completely perfect, running down to the goal line, passed across the goal line, forced the goaltender out of position, pulled him out of position, late passes, beautiful. Like, just icing on the cake. You even got a goal from Jordan Greenway. If you don't know who Jordan Greenway is, I'm not surprised. Jordan Greenway is the guy the Sabres have to just really... He's there to hit people. Now, don't get me wrong. He had 4 hits in the game. He was hitting people. And, he was finishing checks. He was finishing checks hard. If I was the Canadiens, I do not want any piece of him. I do not want to be anywhere near him because he laid a couple of them out, and he laid them out good. But then he also made a shot from the top of, I think he made it from the left dot, basically. He just skated into the zone. No one challenged him, and he just wound up and shot it. Okay. I think that was the first goal he scored in 6 months. Hey, when things are working, they're working. But that was kind of the tone of the game. The top line was battling, but, didn't do anything. And the depth shined. You didn't have the top line on the power play score any goals, but you did have your second line power play score 2. A point is a point. You take it how you get it. And the Sabres power play went 2 of 3 on the night, which is huge for us. We haven't done anything on the power play in months. But it was really the depth of the Sabres that won the game. And it should. Lindy Ruff is fearless in rotating his lines and keeping his lines and skaters fresh. He's unafraid. Each line can run as they need to. And he's unafraid to run each line. That is exactly what you need. If you can rotate all 4 lines of forwards and all 3 lines of defensemen, fantastic. You are in such a great place. And speaking of the defensemen, flowers to Bo Byram, who has scored 4 goals now, I think, in the playoffs. Or not, I don't know if it's in the playoffs, but it's like he's at some point, some graphic was shown that's like he had scored 4, and it's like most goals by a D lineman in one playoff year. So, he's got room to even break that record. He was tied for the lead in the record with a couple people. But the defensemen continued to shine with puck movement, with harassing the other team, with preventing rushes from getting there, with, they did everything they needed to do. The Sabres have a really interesting series in front of them. I maintain that the Sabres are going to go in 6. It's going to take them 6 games to get to the end of this series, which sucks because the Carolina Hurricanes might be done with their next game. They might be done with their series by Saturday, which is crazy. They're already up 3-0. And they're 7-0 in the playoffs, which is nuts. They've played the exact minimum number of games to continue to move on. But I think the Sabres do it in 6. I think they continue their gritty run. And I'll make a prediction for tomorrow's game tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Game 2 of the Montreal Canadiens and Buffalo Sabres series coming up tomorrow, Friday, at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'll predict when we get there. But for now, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.